It has been discussed now that SB-54, that's State Bill 54, the one that would potentially make California a sanctuary state, is about this close to becoming a reality. It might come on across Governor Jerry Brown's desk on Monday morning and could be signed into law.
Yep.
And what would that mean?
Not a thing. Nothing.
It would basically mean that we wouldn't, as a state, we would not cooperate with the federal government in deporting illegal immigrants unless, because there have been changes made to the bill since its introduction to try and appease all sides, and that's why we're this close to getting it passed now. There are things that where we would still participate in helping the feds get people out of the country. Anybody that's convicted of any kind of a violent crime, any kind of a murder, any kind of a rape, anything like that, those people get no sanctuary. But for the average illegal immigrant that gets committed a non-violent felony,
this is a useless law because the things they're talking about making exceptions for are already the law. We already deport violent criminals.
Right.
This is not new.
Well, what I think is kind of interesting about this, and in a way sort of scary, is that basically California is about to pass a law that says we are going to ignore the federal government.
It's not going to work.
Isn't that the beginning of the meltdown of the United States of America right there?
Yeah, but I would say there's probably only maybe 4 states that could get away with this. California, New York, Texas, probably Florida.
Well, see, that's because they're the largest states with the greatest economic output. But see,
California's number 1.
Here's the other thing about this. You already have those crazy fanatical people who are secessionists. They want California to become its own country. And apparently a lot of that movement is being fueled by the Russians.
This actually goes back to my whole point about why people don't just say what the end game is. Because, yes, it's great to want to help the dreamers. Yes, it's great to want to be a sanctuary city. But that is not the end game. The one thing that nobody is talking about is that there has always been discussion about basically having the equivalent of the EU for North America. It actually already has its own currency that has been created. It's actually sitting with printers and everything all drawn up.
Isn't that Bitcoin?
No. There's an American... It's an AU, American Union, and they have the same thing for South America. All of these things exist. So this whole facade about borders and all that other stuff really means nothing because they don't want to tell you that they basically do want to break down America as a nation by saying we just want people to live happy lives, but they don't want that. Because if they wanted that, why not just support Mexico's economy? Why not just support Central America's economy? Why do we need to have these people come here to do that? If we just stop decimating each other, then this is a non-issue. If we start advocating on not having corruption in other countries, I mean, if you can go all the way back to, for us, the whole thing in Central America with Panama, when they went in there and pulled Noriega out of Panama, somebody we put in Panama, and locked him up in a prison in Florida because he basically wasn't playing our game.
Right.
So it's the same situation we have in the Middle East. America funded the Taliban for years because they were fighting Russia at the time. These are all things that if people really wanted to do, they could just do. But if you're saying that you don't want to have borders and you're saying that you really care about people, then say that without saying we have to have a sanctuary state. Because every law and everything that they're putting in this sanctuary law, it's already the law. California already does not have to do what the federal government says. That's why it's the federal government's responsibility. California already deports criminals. They don't have to make this a new law. And one of my biggest things that I hate about legislature and about California legislature specifically is they keep passing the same laws over and over. Why do you need a gang enhancement? It's already against the law to kill somebody. Why do you need hate crime? It's already a crime to hurt somebody.
Because if they didn't do this all the time, there would be no justification for the gigantic salaries that they pull down and being a career politician. That's why.
But
it's feel-good legislation that makes everybody feel like they're doing something in Sacramento.
And all of this fuels the whole thing about parties, which is the reason why you have the divisions at the federal level we have now. Because nation states, essentially, like California or Texas or Florida, they have a state identity and a state ideology. California happens to be driven by the 2 bays, the San Francisco Bay, and I would say you could take LA all the way down to San Diego. Those 2 bays pretty much run the state. Then you have Texas. All of Texas, more or less, is in
Well, you had Texas. Right now, they're pretty much all underwater.
Well, a lot of the major
Actually,
players...
that's not true.
Yeah,
it's
a lot
really
of the
only the
major
southern
players are
portion
still
of
highly
Texas.
active. And you could say the same about Florida. That's also underwater. And then New York, for sure. But these are all places that could operate on their own. It's states that are in the middle of the country, that the ones that voted for Trump, that are saying, hey, we need a voice too. Those are the ones who are losing out.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, it is time for us to be taking yet another break. Man, time is flying. When we're sitting here arguing about stuff, time is really flying. I want to ask this question when we come back. I want to talk about what happened to customer service in this country.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even know what that is anymore. Don't forget we are